already pretty happy with how the game's going.
Do we know who won game 1?
Jim Davis won game 1. Jim Davis is piloting goblins.
Shocked that Jim Davis is piloting goblins.
His goblin build is the mono red goblins. He does have has 4 wasteland, 4 Rishidin port in it, so he's still running the set of ports. Interestingly enough, he's running 4 Cavern of Souls. This is probably easily the deck that benefited most from the Cavern printing.
Yep.
Ali's on 7. Jim is currently going to 6.
Ali Aintrazi is running Rug Delver. Now he has Tarmogoyf, Delver of Secrets, and 3 Nimble Mongoose.
What I like is instead of running the Tuk Tuk Scrapper, Cavern of Souls has allowed Jim to move to Tin Street Hooligan.
Yeah.
Which is rather nifty, as you remember that his only green producing land is Cavern of Souls set to Goblin. Oh, sorry, he has 1 Taiga. My mistake. Okay, so he actually has the ability to also naturally
Ali is
produce
keeping
green.
his 7. Jim is mulliganing currently.
These players are post board, so at this point we can assume that Jim probably has Red Elemental Blasts in his deck.
Yes. Ali's sideboard includes a Grim Lavamancer, which I would expect to come in.
Ali leads off on Tarn into Volcanic Island into Delver of Secrets.
He also has Scavenging Ooze, which would gain him a lot of life in a deck that's running somewhere between 30 and 40 goblins.
Sure. Alright, turn 1 Arid Mesa from Jim into a snow-covered mountain. Snow-covered just for the vanity aspect,
Just
I believe.
for the vanity aspect. To bluff the Scred, I assume. Little bit of shuffling error there from Jim. Nothing too big.
And he's going to go into Skirk Prospector. Not the terrifying lackey, but Ali untapped, just opting to draw. He has a Forked Bolt in his hand, which should prove to be fairly good in this situation. He has he's going to go ahead and just Forked Bolt 1 and 1. Doesn't feel the need when Jim's on 6 and Ali's on the play with a Delver. He probably doesn't feel the need to try to score a 2 for 1 off the Forked Bolt.
Yep.
With the amount of counter magic he has, it's probably best just to simply maintain the game as is and press his land.
It also looks like Ali has 2 lightning bolts in his hand to be able to take care of future creatures.
Sure.
So he didn't need to get greedy with the Forked Bolt.
So he's going to just play and crack a fetch.
One other quick update I have: Shaheen Surani is moves to 5-0 at the Invitational as well.
Right, so Shaheen joins Jerry Thompson as a lock for day 2. Some of our other feature matches, we said before, we know we have Brad Nelson and Michael Hetrick playing to punch their first ticket into day 2. Double Stifle for Ali. Can't imagine he'd be keeping that.
Yeah, I would not think so. His hand currently of Lightning Bolt, Force of Will.
Where Stifle is good in this matchup.
Ali needs a blue card, is what he's looking for.
So maybe, okay, if they're just blue cards, sure.
He's going to take
the land.
Interesting.
So now he can't force anything. There's not really much to force at 2 out of Goblins.
Right.
It's a little late to force an Ether Vial. He's going to play Mog War Marshal. And so I think the big thing is he wants the Delver to flip.
Yes.
That's the main reason of his keep there. Look for Jim Davis not to pay the Echo on the Goblin.
I would assume not. So we're going to flip this with the Stifle.
Yep, now,
Stifle is an interesting one to show here because the Wasteland was threatening Ali's mana base.
Right.
If Ali leaves up the mana, of course.
Right. He didn't. So with the 2 Stifles, didn't have a choice but to show it. What he's going to try to counter. Remember, the best thing he can counter is probably a Wasteland activation. But outside of that, there are Matrons and Ringleaders, which can also be stifled fairly well.
He can also theoretically stifle a Gem Palm Incinerator, which would be relatively good. Although I believe he can only stifle either the damage or the draw card.
So yeah, he can't do both. Relic of Progenitus will come down for Jim. Relic he'll just activate it naturally. It's good against Tarmogoyf and
also Nimble Mongoose. Yep. Although this game neither is particularly happening. I'm not sure if we saw it in game 1 because we weren't on camera, but Ali also has a Singleton Life from the Loam that is worth noting.
In the main deck?
In the main deck.
Interesting.
For those attrition Wasteland style battles, also to get back his dual lands. They have been Wasteland. Did.
Jim a little short on red mana.
Yeah. He could theoretically have not a War Marshal, a War Chief, or things like that in his hand.
I believe he does have a War Chief.
He does have a War Chief, which would have come down on turn 2 had the Forked Bolt not happened. So he does have 2 War Chiefs in his hand.
I believe Jim just drew a Cavern of Souls.
Ah.
Which will be luck to showcase that card in Goblins here. It's a very strong card.
Probably would have been much stronger on turn 1 with a lackey, but
Sure.
we can't all have all
terrifying
the
part.
dreams all the time. So I see Pyro. What is that guy?
See, ringleader,
Pile
warchief,
driver.
warchief.
I believe there's a pile driver. Ollie is going to
He's gonna
read
see if he can
Cavern
stifle it.
Souls.
And I know he cannot. No, he may not.
He cannot because it's a mana ability.
So
He's going to stifle the ringleader effect.
right, which seems correct.
There's a lot of things you can stifle
Yes.
in Goblins.
Cavern of Souls has been set to Goblin.
Yes,
by the way.
shocked.
Okay.
Shocked that it was set to Goblin.
Yes. So Ali,
Jim is attacking for 4 and then passes the turn.
So what Ali's got to be worried most about, and why the other stifle here is really good, is Gem Palm Incinerator.
Yes.
Because remember, he has double Lightning Bolt in his hand, so Jim is actually currently at 2.
Yes. Jim is at 2, basically.
Which, unless he can win here, should give this game to Ali. And moving us on to 3. Just confirming, it is 2 Lightning Bolts. He has Daze, 1 Bolt, I'm seeing for sure. For certain. Maybe, I'm not positive he has a second Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, actually, Stifle seems actually significantly better than counterspells against Goblins now that I think about it, because they're paying 4 mana for a 2/2 haste or 3 mana for
2/2 haste,
a
discard
1/1.
2/2 haste, discard a card.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a overly strong card here. He's going to bolt Jim.
He's going to get bolted.
Jim's to 5. Daze
the matron?
The war chief.
The war chief.
Yep.
Since the war chief got played first. Get bolted again.
He just shows I'm going to bolt you again, then I'm going to hit you. And alright, going to game 3.
Now to go over the sideboards real quickly again, Ollie has a bunch of things that aren't really that relevant against Jim in his sideboard, but he does have a Scavenging Ooze, which I believe can come in.
Probably, just the
gain in
life gain.
Yep. He also has Grim Lavamancer, and he also has Nimble Mongoose.
So
the fourth Nimble Mongoose.
Lavamancer probably come in. Mongoose probably will too. Remember that Goblins is like... My best joke is that the mono red aggro deck is probably the best card advantage deck in Legacy.
Yes, I agree.
Which, you know, I always find to be a really ironic statement, because, you know, mono red not really known for its card advantage.
Yeah, the card that draws the most cards in Legacy is
Goblin
Ringleader. It was tied with Jace for a little while, but no one plays Jace anymore. So
no, he's a little hard to play. He's a little hard to cast.
That's true.
Or a little unsafe. The game's kind of, you could cast Show and Tell at less mana. Jim, as we saw, has boarded in Relic of Progenitus, which he will probably keep in. It's a pretty good free cycle. And I have to assume Red Elemental Blast has been boarded in.
Of course. I believe that he could possibly bring in these Pyrokinesis.
It's possible. Pyrokinesis is one of his few... He is a little short, as we saw that way, on ways to deal with a flipped Delver. If Ali can flip a turn 1 Delver, he can actually race the red deck.
If he doesn't have 2 Goblins in play with the Gem Palm Incinerator in hand,
which is a lot to ask for.
It's a lot to ask for. That's pretty much his only way to deal with a flipped Delver.
He has 1 Sting Scourger, unknown, 1 main, 1 board. It's unknown whether he'd keep those in. They're decent against a Delver of Secrets.
They're mostly for the Show and Tell matchup.
Right. The problem is that you really wouldn't want one in your opener if say, you're fighting against a Mongoose draw. That would be really unfortunate. So I imagine they haven't been kept in. But the red blasts give him other ways to answer Delver, so I would imagine that's probably enough. For game 3, Jim will be on the play once again. Remember that the good part about Rug Delver is that it actually can still interact with Cavern Lackey, whereas some other decks in the format really are, you know, somewhat at a loss.
Pretty cold to it. Yeah, Ollie can deal with it with lots of his. He can deal with it with Stifle, I suppose, but he can also deal with it with a myriad of burn spells.
He has 6 kill spells.
He does. He's not playing Chain of Lightning, or Chain Lightning, I mean.
Right. Which we saw that also in our last feature match. So Chain Lightning is seeming to falling out of favor right now, and maybe I think it's in response to the more combo-y Gristlebrand style decks that they're opting for more blue spells and less burn spells.
Right. It's a concession to the format.
Right.
Chain lightning always was the most frustrating
As opposed
part.
to what you said, what you'd like to do is go the other direction, is instead to cut the green spells and go with enough burn. So instead of concessions to the combo deck, you'd rather race the combo deck.
Right. Well,
which I think is the valid other way to go about it.
Right.
Too.
I mean, we saw how
Jim's mulliganing, I believe.
we saw just how useless a Nimble Mongoose could be in the last matchup against Jerry. So
right. So yeah, Jim on 6 cards. I do not know whether Ali is kept or not.
I'm fairly certain he has. He doesn't look to be shuffling.
Alright, so yeah, Ali on 7. Remember, Jim started last game on 6 as well, which is fairly rough for him, but... So Jim, I mean, the thing about Goblins is that it can mulligan fairly well, especially with a good Lackey opener. I mean, remember, it has enough card advantage that as long as it's hitting its early game spells on curve, it really, obviously that's less likely when you have a 6-card hand, but as long as you're hitting them on curve, you should be fine. You should be able to find a way to recoup that later on. So Jim keeps his 6, turn 1 fetching for a snow-covered mountain.
Uh-oh.
Making a little bit of a mess while shuffling.
Yeah, caught his sleeves on the corners, and good catch from him. See how scary his turn 1 play is. Oh, not scary at all. Mountain pass.
Yep, just trying to avoid a wasteland here then.
Trying to avoid a stifle from Ollie.
Yeah, I suppose. Sorry, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I believe that's what I. Yeah, that's what
Quite
I was
all right.
meaning to say. Alright, so turn 1 we'll see a fetch land from Ollie leading into Nimble Mongoose.
Jim has a Lackey, a Ringleader, and a Pile Driver, and a Cavern of Souls, and a fetch land. Ollie has Delver, Ponder, Forked Bolt, Brainstorm, Ponder, Surgical Extraction. So Ollie brought in Surgical Extraction.
Interesting. Okay. Surgical Extraction is one of those cards. It's very hard to know when to bring it in.
I agree. Yeah, I'm very confused actually as to why he brought. I mean, there's a lot of 4-ubs, so I can sort of see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible that you'd gain incidental value off a surgical extraction of some sort.
Take it out off of a wasteland. Take out wastelands or take out pile drivers, problem cards like that, I suppose. Lackey resolves for Jim. Then Wasteland takes down Ollie's mana.
Sure.
And that is no lands for Ollie.
The Shroud, though, on the Mongoose will be pretty important here.
Yes.
So Ollie with no more lands. Jim just drew a Rishidan Port. That could be very... I mean, this so sometimes, Goblin's a little bit of a land has this land denial aspect to it, too, which we're really might see shine here.
Yes. Very unfortunate for Ollie that he kept this hand hoping to...
right, just really...
Got a little bit greedy playing the Mongoose turn 1 on the draw.
So Jim's going to go with Pile Driver, and he's just going to pass the turn. Ollie does hit a fetch land.
So he can Forked Bolt here.
Yeah, and I believe he's going to.
That'll probably just take down the Pile Driver.
Yep, so he's going to fetch for a Vault. This brings Ollie to 18. I believe he fetched on his first land as well. We'll get a confirmation on that. Yes. Alright, and then I think he'll probably Forked Bolt down the Pile Driver here.
I would guess so. Yeah. Looks like he is.
Yep. Okay, so Ollie trading
Pile
back.
Driver capable of a lot of damage.
With 2 Ponders, 2 Dazes. Ollie's going to be really upset when he learns that Jim has a Rishidan Port here.
Yeah. He's going to surgically extract this wasteland, most likely. Yep.
Yep.
And he sees
Ollie
Ringleader, Cavern, Port.
Oh my. That's got to be a nightmare for him.
Yeah, that's not good news
So
for Ollie.
Jim's line here is so you wait until Jim Ollie wait until Jim drew. Jim's going to this turn presumably port the land on Ollie's upkeep, because remember Ollie has ponder days. So porting that land is just brutal.
Yeah.
Then next turn Calvern naming
Ollie
goblins.
does not wait. Ollie does not have a brainstorm?
I believe they're just ponders.
Oh man. That's rough.
Right.
Oh, nope, he has a
He has
brainstorm.
brainstorm. Okay.
There it is. It's
All
not
right.
quite as miserable.
All right, so he still has a shot here. So he'll be forcing to brainstorm during upkeep.
Which is pretty awkward.
Well, it's fine if Ollie can hit enough lands. The problem is all his cards are just search cards. So the problem is, which essentially what that's doing is it's like Thaliaing himself.
So we're going to trade here.
Yep.
Which is correct. And he's going to
Upkeep,
brainstorm in response. See what we got.
There's the land,
saw
a Force of Will, and
there's a Grim Lavamancer.
The Lavamancer seems like the man you need here.
We're going to put 2 ponders on top.
Unfortunately, the land does not make red mana, so it's going to leave.
That's right.
If you put both ponders on top, that's.
Well, he draws for
all
turn.
right. Okay, it was during upkeep. So yeah, he's going to ponder here.
He sees Goyf, Ponder, Force of Will.
I believe he's going to.
So these Force of Wills are fairly useless now.
He probably needs to ship this. Well, no. Next turn he'll get both his lands, presuming that Jim plays a ringleader, which I believe he will.
Which he probably
will.
So
then Ollie probably want to keep this in order to get the Goyf, because the Goyf will make him.
The Goyf is
stabilize.
incredibly important. Well, also the Grim Lavamancer is very important, and he can't play them both.
So Ollie's going to shuffle.
He's going to shuffle them all in.
Yep.
Because he's still got the 2 other ponders to find something better.
So he just wants more lands.
Yep.
Yeah, keeping those on top would kind of consign himself to only having 2 lands for this game, which.
Yeah, and I would rather have a burn spell.
I mean, you really don't want to draw Force of Will. That's not even a card.
That is a real bad one to draw. So.
All right.
Jim has Sting Scourger now in his hand and plays a ringleader. Let's see him.
See how good.
1, 2, 3.
Best card advantage spell in Legacy. It draws 800 different.
Draws a Matron, an Incinerator, and a Prospector.
It draws approximately 800 cards. Alright, all in his hand. Taking 2, Ollie drops to 14. And like I said here, Jim only starting the game with 6 cards. No longer an issue.
A quick update, Brad lost this round.
Alright, so Brad Nelson drops to 4-1. That puts Michael Hetrick, Ship It Holla, at 5-0. So Brad drops to 4-1. Among other players we have, also noticed at 5-0, hiding at the back of standings at 5-0 is Matt Costa at 4-0 right now.
4-0 right now.
I can only assume he's playing Delver in Standard.
I would imagine so, with Blade Splicers, I would imagine. Considering his recent success with the deck.
Yeah.
So this turn we've played Tarmogoyf and Grim Lavamancer on Ollie's board.
We may see Sting Scourger here. The question is that which goblin Jim would like to make uncounterable here is fairly important. And actually, Jim has drawn. Jim's draw here very good. Jim has drawn the Jump Home Incinerator.
Yes. Well, we saw it off of.
The Incinerator, was it?
We saw the Incinerator off of the.
Oh, the Incinerator. All right, so he's gonna.
Sting Scourge is gonna bounce a Tarmogoyf
And be uncounterable.
That's right.
And that's going to sack, and he's going to cycle Incinerator at the Lavamancer.
Very savvy play.
Yep, and especially pretty good here because Ollie will obviously have to spend his turn recasting the Tarmogoyf. Remember, if he needs to find another Incinerator, he does still have a Matron. His hand is just full of goblins at this point.
Another update for the folks at home: Pat Cox is 4-1 after winning his first round of Legacy.
Yeah, plenty of good players hanging out just in the X1 bracket right now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
We'll try to keep you updated on all of them.
As many as we can. So, Ollie plays the Tarmogoyf again. Jim weighing his options here.
Remember, Ollie does have the Lightning Bolt, which he's representing.
Right. War Chief comes down for Jim Davis. And then a War Marshal.
Too many goblins.
Flooding the board with tiny green, red men.
Delver with no actual sweeper. All Jim actually has to do here is...
So he has to sack a goblin in order to keep the goblin.
And Ollie with just with the 1 days. It's okay, he'll sack the
ringleader. So Jim will sack the ringleader to pay for the War Marshal.
So Ollie could force here if he wanted. He has 2, that would bring him down to just both.
He does not have 2 blue cards. He just has the force.
He has a ponder.
Oh, does he?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
But that's not worth it at all.
Yeah, it's not worth it at all.
All right, so a bolt on the War Chief. Players seem to be discussing at what point this happened.
So he's going to sack for a red mana, getting an Aether Vial.
Okay. Jim was saying that because the token had already come into play, that Jim had priority. So he had to specify that I'd like to play this Aether Vial before you bolt.
Got it.
All right. So the bigger problem with Ollie, though he's answering Jim's cards, is that Jim,
there's
goblins.
A Forked Bolt. That'll help.
Forked Bolt
and Lightning Bolt and a green card.
Pretty good top deck.
Well, this is not. This is pretty much the best top of the deck Ollie could have asked for, I would think.
Right. When Jim does have a Matron in hand,
he has another ringleader, correct?
He has another ringleader in hand. He has a Matron. The problem is that these goblins are going to just keep coming. So Ollie's going to have to start going on the offensive here.
I think that this Forked Bolt will probably go at Prospector and at a token. Or no, he can't cast it this turn.
He can't because he pondered using his red mana.
Did he play land this turn? No.
No, but he's not going to Forked Bolt yet. He has to
reserve
the possibility that he's going to Forked Bolt the face. Or just maybe Forked Bolt something better.
So Jim top decks a Lackey. Do we know how big this Noble Mongoose is?
Yeah, actually Ollie doesn't have... He kept all his burn spells on top. Alright, so
interesting.
Ringleader, again.
Let's see what we got.
Uncounterable.
One, two, three.
Two.
No, 2.
But when he draws another one of himself, it's...
Yeah, when he replaces himself in your hand.
It's another one of those fair ringleader plays. He may stop making mana with his creatures, I believe. Yeah, he's just gonna pass. If he feels the need, he may run a chump block with one of the goblins. Eventually, this train ends in Siege Gang Commander.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Mongoose is in fact a 3/3 right now.
All right, so Forked Bolt in Ollie's hand.
So take down the mana and a token.
Yep.
A Mega Man token.
Alright, Goyf and Mongoose. It's offering a trade with Mongoose, which I imagine Jim's going to take. Remember, Jim has an end turn Lackey to vial into play here.
Ah, yes.
So Jim will take the trade with the Goose, and he'll take damage from
Ollie
the Goyf.
is not going to enjoy this.
No, and it's going to create Vial ticks to 2. And we have a War Chief in play. Oh my, so we get... You can...
So we're Lackey... You can't really do anything pre-combat other than just cast this War Chief.
Right, which he may or may not do. If you do anything pre-combat, you cast one of your haste cards.
The other thing that you can do is you can cast the Matron, search for Siege Gang, and then hit with the Lackey.
That's true.
He's going to go with a safer play of just getting a ringleader.
Into 800.
Into all four
goblins.
Actually, into 8 goblins. Well, 9-ish.
All right.
And we got a handful of cards, and this is not looking good for Ollie.
Not at all.
So the play likely will be War Chief Piledriver. Although he's got Vial on 2, so he doesn't need to do that.
Right. He doesn't have it. He has War Marshal. He got a War Marshal off that as well.
Yes.
So one of them will. Yeah, probably. I still think it's Pile. Some combination of all those mentioned cards.
Huh.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, he's going to leave up Reach. He's deciding to port instead.
He's going to port. Porting the green mana.
Yeah, and he feels comfortable enough with the lead he has that he just wants to do mana denial. And that's pretty respectable, especially especially if the Tarmogoyf attacks, you can flash the War Marshal into play and then block and then not have to pay the Echo. That's a free roll on the War Marshal.
Right. Yeah, Ali not expecting the Goblin Lackey was certainly the downfall so far in this game. There's no way the Tarmogoyf can attack.
Right. The bigger thing is that he positioned the top of his deck off the Ponder so that the bolts showed up kind of a turn late for it.
Yeah. Really?
Goyf's can come into play. Well, he's got to push damage.
He has to try.
He has to try. I don't know if Ali feels like he has too many outs here.
That's fair.
All right. Yeah, Jim, and this is a swing back for Leaf. Well, he's going to have to bolt the pile driver.
Well, yeah, the pile driver will get bolted most likely.
He's gonna
violin a War Chief,
and now here come
probably
more
cast
goblins.
Another War Chief, possibly, or no, he may cast a Siege Gang Commander, or just attack.
I think it's cast Siege Gang Commander. I don't see a play that would.
He
actually
can leave
blow
up
that
the
out.
direct damage. If the Lackey hits, then he can just have the Siege Gang Commander to be able to sack goblins for direct damage.
Yeah.
That would be the other option. Jim just deciding to attack with everything.
All right, bolting.
The pile driver is going to get
Jump Palm Incinerate the Tarmogoyf
before the pile driver leaves. Pile driver goes away.
All right, and I'll leave it at the concession. Jim Davis is going to move to 5-0. Ali Aintrazi drops to 4-1.
Is that was an XO match?
I believe so. Yep, both of those players at EXO.
Aha.
So Jim Davis now. So at 5-0, we currently have Jerry Thompson, Michael Hetrick, Jim Davis. Waiting for word on other players. We have still players who were at 4-0 in this round. We had Adam Prosak, Brian Brondwin,